Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's joining today's session. I'm Kasun Pathirana, and today I'll be talking about leverage D365 supply chain management using Power Platform. And I'll try to give you an overview of what are the possibilities that there's around on the Power Platform and D365 SCM, supply chain management. So let's get started with the session. So before we begin, we acknowledge the traditional owners and acknowledge custodians of the land on which this online conference is hosted and the traditional custodians of the lands where our Australian-based speakers and participants are located. We would also like to pay our respect to elders past, present and future, and also would like to welcome and acknowledge all speakers and participants from New Zealand as well. And let's move into the next slide of the code of conduct. So the code of conduct: be constructive, be respectful, be helpful, and be kind, right? There's a quick version of the code of conduct in the slides. And if you would like to see more than that, you can actually access the link in the slide at the bottom. If you can see that link over there for more information about the code of conduct. And thanks to the wonderful sponsors who made this event possible, and also thanks to the organizers for having this great, wonderful event running entirely throughout the month of May. So it's great events coming up, coming to you. So it's good. And let's move into the next slide. So I'm going to talk a bit about myself. So I'm Kasun Pathirana, and I'm a Dynamics 365 and Power Platform evangelist. I work at DXC Technology as a consultant. I started my journey in Microsoft Business Applications from Dynamics AX and have experience working with Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations and previous AX versions from 4.0 onwards. I've been working, and I've got also experience working in the both worlds. You would say that ERP world and the CRM world. So I've got the experience in D365 customer engagement of the CRM component of Microsoft, and I'm also involved in Power Platform implementations as well. I do blogging as well, and I'm using D365bits.com. So that's my website. If you can come there and see my blogs, that's the site, that's the place that you can see. And also I've been in Twitter as well, so D365bits, and also in the YouTube as well, the same name I'm using there as well in the YouTube as well. And if you want to find me in LinkedIn, you can actually scan the QR code. So that's been there. So if you scan the QR code, it will be linking to my LinkedIn page, and you can, if you have any further questions or anything as such, so you can definitely contact me there. And let's move into the session agenda. So this is the session agenda that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about the business applications, what are the components, what are the applications that we have in the Microsoft Business Applications world, and what are the applications that I'm going to focus on today's session. And then I'm going to move into the D365 Supply Chain Management and the 4 components of it. I'm going to talk about Power BI, Power Automate, Powerups, and Power Virtual Agents, combining with D365 Supply Chain Management. So that's going to be the session agenda as such. And let's move into the business applications. So what about business applications? So the business applications is actually what Microsoft provides in all the Microsoft Business Applications suite. And this image is actually providing the complete set of business applications which we have, right, which Microsoft offers. And this is also categorized into 3 sections. If you see in the screen, observational, analytical, and transactional. So it's been categorized into 3 sections, and then also have several domains as well, like marketing, sales, service, operations, finance, commerce, HR, and Power Platform. So those are the domains that there's domains as well as the Power Platform separately, and then it's observational, analytical, and transactional as well. So there's lots of products. So all products are here, and for the today's session, actually, I'll be focusing more onto the Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management and Power BI, Powerups, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. So these are the applications that I'm going to focus on, and to tell more about the supply chain management. Previously, it's been to be together with the D365 Finance as well. So Microsoft recently rebranded from the D365 Finance and Operations to split into two products called Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management and Dynamics 365 Finance. So I'm going to talk about supply chain management today, but it's most of the concepts and what I'm going to talk about, it will be applicable for the finance as well, but it will be in the finance context. So that's the only difference. But more of the scenarios will be, all the scenarios will be relevant to the supply chain management, which I'm going to talk about in the session, throughout the session. And a bit more on the supply chain management, what are the modules or what it covers basically in the supply chain management. There's a lot of modules involved in it, and example like procurement and sourcing, warehouse management, inventory management, and sales and marketing. So these are some of the modules that you can work with in the Dynamics 365 supply chain management. And if I'm going to explain a bit on the finance as well, Dynamics 365 Finance, so that has like account receivable, accounts payable, cash and bank management, fixed assets and expense management, credit management, intercompany revenue recognition. So these are some modules that involves in the finance, right? And about the Power Platform, you have Power BI for the analytical part, and Powerups for creating your applications, and Power Automate for automating your work and stuff like that, workflows. And Power Virtual Agent will be the low-code chatbot. But all these applications have the rich capability of bringing in the complex or the Azure components as well. So it becomes low-code, but it can be used for the pro devs as well. So that's the beauty of the Power Platform. And let's talk about the Microsoft ecosystems, which are supporting the modern finance and supply chain management, so that we can look where the Power Platform fit in the ecosystem of finance and supply chain management. See, if you look at the areas like user management, application management, is not kind of involved at all, but much of the involvement is actually coming in the automation part, like business events, or Power Automate, Logic Apps, and Power Virtual Agent. So the Power Virtual Agent, Power Automate is actually helping on the automation part of it. And in terms of data, you have CDS, Azure Data Lake, Azure SQL, and these are the ones. But in terms of Power Platform, the CDS is the component which is being using. So there's been few components using in the automation part, data part, as we discussed, and in the visualization as well. So if you talk about the visualization is actually key in terms of if you're using Power BI, it's really key because it's one of the market it's a market leader by far in the BI space, and it has a set of rich visualizations, and also you can actually bring in different visualizations which is in the marketplace as well, and if you want to customize, you can do that as well. So it's very rich, and depending on the needs of the client, you can actually design as well, and then also you can also bring in what you call the R visualization as well as the Python as well. So it's very rich in terms of visualization, what you have from the out of the box. Yeah, the functionalities as such, and then you also have like integration capabilities as well with the other applications. So the Power Platform can be used for the integration capabilities as well. So those are the main components. If you see from the blue sections, all integration, automation, data, and visualizations are the parts that actually the Power Platform is really involving in the ecosystem. And let's move into the Power BI. So if you talk about the Power BI, it's actually enabling effective, actionable insights to the users. So Power BI is actually, you can embed it directly into the user experience. So that's the beauty. So if you see on the right side of the image, actually it's saying that the embedded Power BI in Dynamics 365 supply chain management, right? Or the finance and operations will be the same. So you can actually embed it. And also the organizations can deliver insight to the right people based on their roles, and also through analytical workspaces. So there are workspaces as well, so separate workspaces that involves key visualizations from Power BI so that you can, for example, CFO overview. So that's one of the workspaces that you can go in, and they can utilize the CFO workspace. So that's a separate workspace. So that, but it has a lot of rich the Power BI embedded inside out of the box. And you can leverage the core transactional data. Also, you can get these data into the Azure Data Lake as well, and it has real scalability. And with Azure Data Lake, it's actually gonna be less cost, and also you could do a lot of mashup with other data sources as well if you have legacy systems, or if you have some other system that you need to integrate with. So you can do those things as well. And if you want to run AI and ML models and such, so you can do that as well. And then you can present everything in the Power BI. So that's the beauty of the rich functionalities and features and products that Microsoft offers. You could do lots of things, and that you can bring a lot of value to the client, and that's the most important part. And it actually can help them to drive revenue as well as lower their cost and such. And it also have something called the entity store as well. So in D365, those are the entity store is the one which we utilize in terms of getting aggregate measurements, and also use of star schema, so you can actually model for the analytical scenarios, and you could actually utilize these entities to get in the data to the Power BI part of it. And there are some new enhancements also coming in as well. So that will also help in for an example, that from in the MBAS Microsoft Business Application Summit, there have been a few announcements on different new features are coming up. So that's going to be wonderful in terms of CDS, like D365 F4 finance operations entities will be available in the CDS. So there's new capabilities coming up, and there's a lot actually happening in this space. So it's really good. So that it's good news for the users who are involved, and the users, consultants, and everyone who's involved in the Dynamics 365 finance and operations space. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about on the Power Automate part. So the Power Automate is actually help you to automate your business scenarios. And on the right side, you can see one of the flows that actually helps you to create records as such in the sales agreement space. So you can create a sales agreement by using kind of a flow like that, and you could get your intake or the inputs from the Powerups. So that's what the flow is actually helping in the example here. So and there's actually also the business events also you can use in the business events as well. And business events occurs when business processes are running, and during the business process, users who are participating in the performing business actions can complete the tasks that make up the business process. So you can utilize it to connect with, especially with Powerups, or maybe with the Power Virtual Agents. Like if you are creating actions, then you can use the Power Automate. So those are the areas, as well as you can use in the business events as well. It will also utilize the capabilities of Power Automate. And also you can also use for the approval processes as well. So that's going to be another key addition in terms of approval processes. If you want to build something complex outside the probably which is not covered by the standard workflows, so you could actually use it with the capability of mobile and workflow scenario. So there's rich capabilities that you can actually utilize from Power Automate to leverage, and then you can bring a lot of value to the client, and that's going to be really value adding for them. Yeah. So let's look at the next topic. Next topic would be about the Powerups. So the extend your solutions with Powerups. So you can actually use Powerups to extend your scenarios, and you can create custom entities, populate them with business data like that. And you can use queries as such and build applications using those things. So you might wonder why you would need to have the Power Apps, probably, what kind of scenarios that you would need to use the Power Apps. So it could be a scenario that you might need to use, like if it's a mobile worker situation, like if your workers are very mobile and then probably they need to enter some specific records, some specific tasks that they need to do. So probably you could use like Power Apps and to enter and update some records and get into the D365 supply chain management. And also, in the event if you need to combine your data with, or you need to combine your data with another source, external source. So, example, like if you need to get call of a web service and get check and verify the VAT numbers or something like that, then you probably would could use a Power App and then get it connected to the external source and then validate it, and then you can validate the VAT numbers or something, some kind of a scenario that you can use. These are some scenarios that you might come across using these the Power Apps. And also you can use actually Canvas apps or the model driven. So based on the scenario that you can decide whether you use Canvas apps or the model driven apps when you're building the applications. So if it's a task oriented one, you probably can use the Canvas app. But if it's a complex business process, maybe involves with flows and maybe involves with business logic or something like that, then probably you could use a model driven app. So this is kind of the ways that you can get in with the Power Apps. And also there's situations that you could use the portals as well. But I think with the new addition with the CDES, which the entities, if when the Dynamics 365 supply chain management as well as the finance entities available in the CDS, then it'll be really helpful for the Power Apps portal scenarios. So it'll be easier for showing up in the Power Apps portal. So that's going to be coming up in the future as per the Invest 2020. So there's a lot of these scenarios that you can use the Power Apps in terms of extending your solutions and extending your solution to the client. And let's move into the next part of it. Next part of it is the Power Virtual Agents. So you could also use Power Virtual Agents to improve and improve the experiences of customers who are getting with the Power Virtual Agents. And you have the ability to build a chatbot, right, with no code. So that's the beauty of it. So you don't need to code. You don't need to be a data scientist to build this chatbot. So you can actually have a drag and drop kind of a environment that you can easily build the Power Virtual Agents. And we're going to see some examples of it. And you can improve the customer experiences, like by using Power Virtual Agent. You will not be able to example, like you will not be able to have 24/7 someone to chat and answer customer queries. So you could utilize on leverage on some kind of a bot if you want to do answer your clients and such that then you can probably build a Power Virtual Agent so that can help and keep running on the 24/7 so that there's someone always to answer the queries as such. The great thing about the Power Virtual Agent is that it can learn and improve, and it is easy to create your own virtual agents, right? And it has the pre-built connector. So if you talk about the Power Virtual Agent, it will answer Q&A, question and answers scenario, as well as it can take action. So that's the beauty. So the taking actions you can leverage on the Power Automate part, and you can call these pre-built connectors, and then you can actually perform tasks. So probably sending an email, or maybe getting the list of records, or getting a date or something like that. So you can actually leverage on that. And then also that you can actually use the LUIS as well. You can couple up with the LUIS, so language understanding intelligence service, and you can extend these for the custom entities and extraction the Power Virtual Agent. And So this is going to be really key. Like if you can use like Louis, like for an example, in the entities you would have like age when you ask from the bot, how old are you? Probably then the user might be replying, I'm 19 years old, or maybe 19, but you need to capture what exactly that value, right? So that's where you use the Louis, and then you can, they can understand the language, and then it will derive what value you need to get it from that context, or from that text, right? So that's where you use the Louis, makes it more smarter when you have the Louis in your bot. Kind of example that you see on the right side, the image that I'm just showing. So this is kind of a flow that you can run and get your data from FNO, or the SEM in this instance I'm talking about. So you can basically take all these informations running. If you want to take an action, you can run a flow as showing on the right side in the image. And later on, I'm going to show you the demo so that you can see the scenario of which we can utilize this kind of a Power Virtual Agent. So before moving to the next part of it, all the demos and stuff like that, so I'm going to flash up the screen so you could have time to get into the competition. So this is the competition slide. And this event is for running through whole month of May, and this is the third week, right? And you can actually scan this QR code, right? When you scan this QR code, you can get into the competition. You can win prizes and stuff like that. And I hope someone will win from my session. So we're just going to flash it there for a few more seconds so that you can capture this QR code, and then you can get the prizes. So let's give another 10 more seconds. Okay, let's move into the next part of it, of the session. So now we're going to talk about the Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management and Power BI. So this is going to be an example of example. Okay, let's look at the example here. So this is an example of finding out the uncounted bin analysis using a Power BI report. So in this, we will focus on let's go into the locations, and in this case, I'm going to focus on the warehouse 24, and zone ID will be flow. So I'm going to filter for the warehouse 24 and the zone ID flow. So once you filter, then this will be filtered inside. This is in the finance and operations inside, and you can actually sort the life cycle count. So if you notice, there's 12 records, only 2 actually having the date. So I'm going to go in back to the Power BI. So the Power BI will show the records here. So if you look at the flow, then you have total number of beans 12, and uncounted number of beans is 10. So this is kind of example that you can utilize. So this is an example, but you can use in the real cases as well. Extend these scenarios into your real life scenarios. So this is one way of extending using the Power BI. And if you want to embed it, you can embed these as well. So that's one of the scenarios that I can show you here. And about the D365 Supply Chain Management and Powerups. So that's going to be the next demo. So if I look at the next demo, so let's run the next demo as well. So in this case, this is an example of a label image generating. So it's actually generating real labels using it's an image that it will be generating here, but you can actually use it to print as well. You can extend this for the printing as well. So what you're going to do is you can select here, start, and then select the batch number that you want to print, or you want to show in the image in this case. So you can show the label image here. Click on the label image, and then it'll pops up that label image. So it's one way of doing it. So it's in the batcher screen. So the one which we see is actually in the batcher screen. So you can use that. You can leverage on the Powerups, and then you can call on the external services from the labelly.com, and then you can actually display the image. So that's one way of extending. So that's one of the examples that I can show you in terms of in terms of these Powerups and the D365 Supply Chain Management. And next up is Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management and Power Automate. So if you look at the demo on this one, so in this case, I will show that you can utilize the manual trigger flows to check a flow quickly. So in this case, you can test it. You click on the text, and you're going to enter currency and sales agreement classification, and then a customer, right? And then you can run the flow. So basically, you can do this usually. So if you go back to the finance and operations, you would see that record is appearing in the screen. So that's the 1/3 record. And you can usually do this manual trigger in the case of if you're checking on complex kind of workflows, complex kind of Power Automate flows that you want to build. Then you can actually start with a simple manual trigger flows to check your flow quickly, which data field that you need to you require to do, so that it makes it much easier for you to building your complex flows. So that's what one of the tricks that I can give you. So this is one way of quickly using a manual trigger, and then you can actually check on how you build your flow later on, the complex flow. And then this will be actually you can actually utilize the Powerups in terms of the manual trigger. So you can replace the manual trigger part to the Powerups, so that then you can get the inputs from the Powerups. And then once you get the inputs, similar inputs like what I did the manual inputs, then you can actually utilize to create the record inside. It could be sales agreement, could be a sales order, it could be another scenario. So depending on your scenario, you could utilize this method of manual trigger just for your checking purposes. But it's a real neat, real good way that I have been using. So it's really helpful to understand on the flow what is needed before building the big complex the flow. And then I'm going to look at the Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management and Power Virtual Agent. So I'm going to show the demo on this one. So this video will showcase a scenario where we'll be capturing the confirmed ship date from the bot. So the Power Virtual Agent will be getting us the confirmed ship date. So there's two sales orders here I'm looking at. And those sales orders I'm going to call up from the chatbot. So if you type it in hi to the chatbot, then it will come back with the reply. And then once you have the reply, then you can choose whichever the option that you want. In this case, I probably won't confirm ship date. And then it'll bot will ask, please provide your company code. So I'm going to give the company code as USMF. And then the bot replies, can you please provide the sales order number? So I'm going to give you the sales order number as well. The sales order numbers I was showing earlier, so 001710 in this case. And then it'll go back to the system, run through the flow. That's the action part. So it'll look through the FNO sales order header details, and then it'll get you the ship date, right? And then it'll ask, do you want to do another inquiry? I said no, yes. So in this case, I'm going to choose confirm ship date option again. Again, ask for the company code. So I'm going to provide the USMF in this scenario. And then you can provide the sales order number. And then the bot will go back and run the go back through the flow, and then it will come back and tell me the confirmed ship date. And then if I do we want to do another inquiry, I would say no, and I say this answers my question. I like the Power Virtual Agent bot, so I say excellent and thanks for the feedback. Anything else you can help with? I say no thanks, and then the bot will be replying thanks for chatting with me, bye. So likewise you can extend, so this is only one scenario, but you could extend for several different scenarios as such, and you can build your Power Virtual Agent using the Dynamics 365 Supply Chain Management data. So that's more about the that's another scenario for this. So one more thing I want to highlight is that some of, like for example, the Power Virtual Agent, you can actually find all these steps inside my blog. So if you visit my blog, D365bits.com, you could find all these steps involved in, will be mentioned there. So about the Power Virtual Agent, if you want to build, so you can have a look at if you really want to build with the Power Virtual Agent and D365 SEM, then you can definitely go and visit my site, and you can have all the steps there. And that's almost end of my presentation, and we'll thank for the sponsors, right? And they've been really wonderful for making this event successful. And also we need to special thanks to the event organizers as well. They're doing a wonderful job, and it's not that easy to organize an event running whole month of May. So thanks for organizers as well as sponsors, and thanks for providing me the opportunity to speak in M365. I also would like to thank everyone who was able to join this call as well. And if you want to get hold of me, you can, this is my contact details as such, so you can definitely contact with me. And let me look at, is there any questions that we got? Yeah, I got one. Is the label printing using the native embedded Canvas app on D365 SEM form? Yeah. The label printing, actually I've used the native. It's actually a Canvas app embedded into the FNO. So basically you have, if you go to a form, you can see that icon of the Powerups, and then you can actually embed that Canvas app. So it will ask for you the name and the app ID. So once you have given the name and the app ID, you can embed that. And the data, which is actually coming from the FNO or the, in this case, D365 SEM scenario, will be coming from supply chain management. And those data that you can actually use in that case, that the batches screen I'm using. So the batches, all the values will be showing there, and you can select which batch you want to print, and then you can actually print it. And the in terms of the printing part, you can actually, there's few ways of doing the printing part. You can actually print it using the, you can directly print it, but if you need to do a bit more customization to do that. But if you want to utilize the labelry.com, the free service, you probably can utilize that, leverage on that. And then you can download that PDF, and then you can print it as well. So there's few ways of doing this. Yeah, so that's the question I've had. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you have any questions on the sessions and such, you can actually use the QR code. Just get into my LinkedIn page, and then you can find me in the d365bits.com, or you can find me in the YouTube as well. With these a lot of stuff I show, I have it in YouTube as well as in my website, so you can follow through the steps if you're really interested on doing these exercises. So I would I'll be really happy to help anyone have any questions. So I'm more than glad to help you. And so as last, so those are the only questions that I have. So let's probably move into the last page. So thank you. So thank you everyone. So thank you for participating, and thank you for the organizers as well as the sponsors. So thanks. Bye for now.